All right, everyone, here we go. Dealin Hope number 6. Wow, we're getting up here to this. We love doing this on Monday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time every week. One week we're looking at where I'm just spending some time talking to you out of what's going on in my heart, what I'm thinking about, what I'm hearing, what I'm communicating. And then the other week, we are having amazing leaders from all over the world who have agreed to jump in here with us and deal some hope, so you are encouraged, so you're strengthened, so you're blessed, and maybe even challenged beyond where you are in life. Our heart is that we believe every heart can live fully alive, and so we are seeing a culture of hope emerge in the earth like crazy. Hey guys, good to see everyone jumping in already. Hearts and thumbs blowing up. If you're sharing this, go ahead and get this out here. We'll have our guest Mick Cox on here with us shortly, and when he jumps in, we're going to let him roll, so get this shared out on your wall quick. Awesome to see everybody getting in here. It's going to be awesome tonight. You are going to be totally blessed. You're going to love what you hear tonight. And so, as I was saying, we believe every heart can live fully alive, and hope is the best atmosphere for that to happen. So we've created a culture of hope for you to have the place that you can thrive and live out the fullest extent of who you really are and what you've been given to accomplish in the earth. We believe in you. We're anticipating seeing you expanding and growing and flourishing in everything that you've been given to do. So we're excited tonight to have an amazing guest on here with us, one of my long-term friends, matter of fact, my longest long-term friend, if you will, Mick Cox. Right now, he'll pop in beside me in just a second as we're adding him. That'll be awesome. That's right, Michelle, the hillbilly theologian is here. All right, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
All right. Good to see you. Good to see you representing your Cubs tonight.
Looking forward to win the World Series.
Right on, baseball. There you go. There you go. Well, we're totally thrilled that you're sharing tonight. We're so excited for so many of you jumping on. There's already tons of hearts, tons of thumbs hidden, many of you sharing it, getting it out there. You know, you can also invite people right now to just jump in and get connected in this, because tonight is going to be a powerful time. Just a little bit of background. Mick is rocking the Bearded Hope, not just the beard on his face, but his personal blog that you need to make sure you're checking out and connecting with that. Mick leads the congregation at Faith Joy Fellowship in Beverly, Ohio, connected with our other great friends, Dwayne and Val Huck. It's just a phenomenal thing, emerging and growing and stepping further in to the design of what Father has. I love seeing these congregations, like many that you're part of and many of you who are leading, that are advancing in the revelation of Father's goodness in his heart that is towards us and for us, not against us. And so anyways, that's what Mick's leading in Beverly, the Bearded Hope podcast. And just a little bit of background, Mick and I have been friends since 1990. I almost didn't want to say that, man.
Yes.
We're going on 30 years of connection and friendship. You know, it's unfortunate that not many people have that opportunity in life to carry out long-term, meaningful friendships, but we've been blessed to do that. We are partners in crime in high school, if you will, starting Bible studies in our public high school, leading home Bible studies with youth that 40 and 50 were gathering every week as we were sharing scripture together. We went on to start a heavy metal band together in high school that's now went on to be a worldwide known metal band. Matter of fact, Mick, did you see the map of the top metal bands out of every state that was posted the other day?
I didn't know.
Actually, Zayo was the name of our band. Their Facebook page posted it, and there was some metal organization released the top 50 metal bands, one representing each state. And Zayo, the band we started, was the band for West Virginia. So, if you will,
that's awesome.
Zayo got listed in the top 50 metal bands of all times. That's pretty crazy deal, up there with Metallica for California and Pantera for Texas and other big time deals, right? So anyway, that's a background on Mick and I. Some of you may not have known that, but nonetheless, I don't want to take up much more of your time or Mick's time tonight, but I want him to jump in, as he has been really pushing in to this revelation about light. And so I wanted him to talk about what we just call the frequency of light and how that impact. Man, there are so many of you jumping on here tonight. Thanks for joining in and getting shares, getting other people. Hurry up, invite him. Mix about, start talking. He's been tagged the hillbilly theologian, and he's going to rock it. So Mick, talk to us about light, man. Talk to us about the frequency of light and help us with this.
Well, I don't know how I got started on this whole journey and digging into this subject, but sometime around Christmas, we started talking about Advent. And of course, when you start talking about Advent, you start talking about how Christ has come as the light of the world. So when you start digging into words and definitions and start seeing things fold out throughout all of Scripture, light plays a big, huge part of it. And then when you find out that Jesus is called the light that is so bright that darkness can't comprehend it, and then turns around and says, not only am I the light and darkness can't comprehend me, but you're the light. So that shows me that maybe there's something more to this whole concept of the frequency of light, what it is and how much of a part it is of the kingdom. So you got to dig in John chapter 1, where it says, Jesus is the life light. He's the light that defines our light. That's from the Mirror translation. And then verse 5 says that the darkness was pierced by this life light, and that it can't comprehend or can't diminish this light. And then a few chapters over, you get to where Jesus is looking at the disciples and telling them, now you're this same light. And it's a Greek word called phos, and it means the same word in Hebrew, or, which is the let there be light from Genesis chapter 1. So now you have the let there be light, the creative light, and you said frequency of light. When you look at the spectrum of light, you've got radio waves at the beginning, that's the low-level light frequency, and then you've got gamma rays as the highest frequency, and we know gamma rays, look what happened to the Incredible Hulk if you got close to gamma rays. It nearly, destroyed him. If we get near gamma rays, we're dead. But Acts 1:8 talks about this dunamis power that invades us, this light explosion that raised Jesus from the dead. So now we're panning out through all of Scripture and seeing how this light literally brings power. It's not just a power that makes you bold, but there's creative power, there's life power, there's all these different things involved in this light, and it all emanates from Christ. And emanates from Christ from the very beginning when he says, let there be light. And that light has continued to expand. It's never stopped. Science tells us that it keeps, the universe is expanding and going and going and going and going. And when you see that radio waves and gamma rays are all tied into light and all that, we can talk all day about all the different types of light there is. But just hearing radio waves and then now this creative light and how that it's carrying words all across the spectrum, it really shows you how much creatively the Father is speaking into the creation, speaking into us, and speaking life, and has always been communicating. The radio's always been turned on, so to speak. It's never stopped turning on. And so when you're going back to John, he says that the darkness was pierced by this light, and it could not comprehend it. When you start digging into darkness, what's darkness? The Greek word is skotoreo, I think. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Hillbilly theologian, not, real. I got the the hillbilly pronunciation of the Greek word, but it literally means ignorance. It means ignorance of divine things, ignorance of God, ignorance of Christ. And so the biggest ignorance that I can think of when it comes to darkness is religion. And so Christ came and pierced religion. Christ came and pierced the old thing that was hiding who Father really was. And so throughout all of eternity, throughout all of time that we're speaking of, anytime you see darkness, what's darkness? It's anything that would try to hide God from humanity. Well, look at all throughout history, every single time that something has risen up from the old, from let's just look at the old covenant. From the old covenant, what was it doing? It was hiding who God really was with a bunch of rules and regulations. Look at what the church became in the Dark Ages. It was stuff that was hiding Father from who he really was to the people. And so this light, this explosive force, this explosive ore that comes from the Father through the Son to us brings us revelation, brings us light. And so now we have this picture of Jesus from John chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, the Logos, the logic of God, God's mind made up about us, and he's the light. So now he's the Logos and the Rhema, both pouring into us, both shining this light of who Father actually is. And then to turn around in Matthew chapter 5 and say, your lives are this light. You light up the world, and you let others see your light so they can now comprehend Father for who he is. So now everything that Jesus did when he was on the earth, which was constantly shining light on who Father was, has now been given to us. It's now been handed over. And says, I did this, now you do this. Even to the point he said, you go and make disciples. All disciples is people in relationship, walking and following things together. Right. And that's what Jesus was asking. Listen, I'm in relationship with the Father. I'm in communion with the Father. I'm talking to the Father. I'm hearing from the Father. We're walking this thing out together. And now I've modeled that before you to show you how you have relationship with one another. And now you take and you show other people you live in relationship and you have a relationship with Father. This whole thing of communion together. And it all goes back to shining light. Showing people that you're the light, and that light comes from him. It's a reflection of who he is. And so, we can dive into and dig into all the places where it says the more you look at him, the more you realize who you are. So the more you look into the light, the more you see those deep places that God created you to be. So he's piercing through all the places in us that's been covered up by religion, that's been covered up by hurt, that's been covered up by pain, that's been covered up by all the things that would hide us from who Father really is. He's shined a light, pierced it, and said, this not only can what you were and how you were and all that stuff can't comprehend it, but it can't stop it. It can't diminish it. It can't destroy it. So, and then all the way back, just to show that he's constantly trying to do this throughout all of history. Isaiah 60 says the same thing that Matthew 5 says. Arise, shine, for your light has come. So Father has always been trying to reach out to humanity, trying to reach out to us and tell us who he really is and show him, I created this with a bang of light. I threw this out there and it's not stopping. And I'm constantly trying to shine light on you to show you who you really are so you can see me. So, I don't know, did I take up enough time?
Yes. Oh, that was powerful. Hey, guys, thanks for so many of you jumping in. Hey, comment where you're watching tonight. Quite a few of you are in with us right now live. Once you drop a comment about where you are so we know where people are all over the country joining in with us tonight. Be awesome to see where you're at. Mick, man, that was fantastic. Help us a little bit more in this connecting Isaiah 60 and Matthew 5. Go a little further with that because that's pretty awesome.
Well, he says the key thing is the word. It says light in Isaiah, and it says light in 60, or in Matthew 5. When they translated the Old Testament into Greek, they use the word phos, which is the same word that they used in Matthew 5. Now, that word phos is the same way so we get the word or, and it means life light, Jehovah light, the God kind of light, the creative light. So it has the same definition. So it's not just like a light bulb or like the flame of a candle. It's this creative life light. It's the two words are in parallel. And so Jesus looks at his disciples. It's the Sermon on the Mount. He's speaking to a group of people. He's just finished the Beatitudes, which is basically
Hey,
people. Oh, sorry.
hold 1 second. No, hold up 1 second. Just got to give honorable mention to Russ Coggle, who just jumped in here, who is the current guitar player for Theo, tearing it up out there. So thanks for jumping in tonight, Russ. Sorry, Mick. Jump back in there. Keep connecting the dots.
But looking at in Matthew 5, where Jesus is speaking to his disciples, and tells them that they're the light. Right before that, he's speaking about the Beatitudes. He's talking about this is what life in the kingdom is. This is how this rolls out. This is who you are now. And then he says, now you take who you are now and you live out this light. And the command all the way back in Isaiah 60 is, arise, shine, for your light has come. Your light has now shined upon you. It's this same picture of living what's in, living out the life that's in you, living out this revelation of who Father is and who he created you to be, and everything that's been shined on now, how you are created in his image. Now that's all coming out. So you have the key words, light, phos, and or. They're both the same thing in Hebrew and Greek. And then you tie in the whole compatibility of they're both talking about this is how you live now. This is how you walk now. This is how you talk now. This is the kingdom ethics that you are now a part of. That it ties the two together, and this is how we now walk this out.
That's awesome. So taking that a little bit out of just kind of all of the theology that you're tying together there, when we talk about the frequency of light, and you helped us see so well that we are that light. So what is that? What's going on with the frequency of light in our day-to-day living, in our businesses, our homes, our marriage, our parenting, etc.? How does all that play out into everyday living?
I think the key to that is just being who you are. I mean, we tend to, when we look at theology, we tend to dive in deep and we make these big, huge statements. But I've come to three things with theology. One, it ties to life. If theology is not life, then it's dead. It's not real theology, because theology is the study of God and God's life. So if there's no life in the theology, it's not really theology. It's just another ology. Another thing is it ties to the supernatural and the
otherology.
Yes, otherology. But it also ties to the supernatural because God is supernatural. So to know that that one, God is saying theology, life, this is where we find life. This is, you just live life, and that now the supernatural is connecting to it. That's bringing the reality of how he's intertwined with all of us, that he's wanting to connect with us, that he's wanting to walk with us. It's not this picture of that he's some far off thing, and then every once in a while an angel shows up, or a light shines down from heaven. Oh, that's supernatural, or there's all kinds of crazy things when it comes to supernatural. But really, the supernatural is just the Father connecting with us. And so when it comes to the average day-to-day, how do we walk this out? It's the old passage from Psalm, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Holiness is understanding who you are. You have right standing with God, because you have right standing with him, and he created you. And so when you walk out what you're created to be, that's worship to him. So that's this whole living in the light. It's not something that has to be obtained by some ladder of success or a bunch of rules. It's just, I'm going to be who I am in Father. I'm going to be who I am that's been revealed to me by Jesus. That happens through relationship. And relationship, one, yes, we do find relationship by reading his word and praying. Those are two things, but it's also listening and experiencing and living out life with our kids. I find Jesus every day in my kids. I find Jesus every day in my wife, in the things that she says, in the things that she speaks, in the things that she does, in the love that she shares for my kids. I see Father and I see Jesus and all of that. And that's all Rhema revelation. It's bringing me the reality of characteristics of who Jesus actually is. And it shows me this is how I walk this out. I see the love that my wife has for my kids. That's the love
Yeah.
that I should be having for my kids. Or I see a good friend and them walk through something or go through something, and I'm like, man, the integrity that they have walking through that, that's just a revelation of the characteristic of the Father, the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
So that's actually just living. It's just really living life. It's not this big, a big hoopla of trying to sort things out like a Rubik's cube. It's just living life. That's ugly. That's messy. That's dirty. That's stinky sometimes. But in the midst of all that, you find who you really are.
Boom. Well, that's the point. You find who you really are, right? It
Right.
seems to be that somehow it's light doesn't keep doing, or light doesn't stop doing what light does, right?
Right.
And it seems
Yep.
to be as if light is not trying to follow some kind of set order. It's just being what light is, right?
Yes.
And so in that, you and I and all of us get to keep being who we are. The more we allow the layers to peel off of that which has been deceptive disguise,
Yes.
that layers over our minds, our hearts, as that continues to be peeled off, more and more of the light of who we are, right, is what shines before all men like a city on a hill, that we should not be putting a bushel over. No, right? Remember the old Sunday school song?
Right.
You can't put that bushel over it. And so out of that, you and I get to experience the freedom that light is. Light's not,
Right.
you can't grab it. It's not, you can't catch it, you can't hold it, you can't restrict it, right? But light
Right.
gets to move as light pleases somewhat, to say. And you and I and all of us get to be those who, as we embrace the present reality of hope and present reality thinking, and begin to live our future, our fullest future potential right now, we begin to be those who are bold enough to step into being the light that we've been created to be, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And
So,
you said
so
you can't
go ahead.
box in light. That's the truth. You can't box it in, because even though you even trying to cover light, there's still light waves getting out the box. Our natural eyes can't see it, but it's still coming out. Just like if you try to hide a radio under a box, those radio waves are still coming out. And then some aspects, like wood, if you set a radio against a piece of wood, that makes it a natural amplifier. So there's some things where people try to block the light, and it's actually naturally amplifying it, even though we're not seeing it with natural eyes. So, yeah.
Yeah, the amazing thing is the reality and the amount of light as waves, frequency, that's going on constantly, that we don't have the instrument, our eyeballs aren't instrument enough to be able to see them. But as our heart, and so many things, right, is that we call it the unseen, and it becomes the seen.
Right.
But we got to be those
Yes.
who are very aware that there is light functioning in, through us, around us all the time, whether our eyes are comprehending it or not. Maybe it's been simply said, there's more going on behind the scenes than we're aware of, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I love what you said about wood and natural amplification. Talk to us a little bit more about that amplifying light.
The funny thing is, growing up playing bass guitar, I didn't have a bass amp for a long time, and I would take the bass guitar and I'd set it on my leg, and that leg, by playing the strings through the wood and into my bones, you could actually feel it, and at some point even hear it, me playing it. And so, in thinking about how some things amplify and some things expound on light, there may be times in life, or there may be times in things that even what you're going through, maybe a situation or stuff, or certain situations, it may seem like a dead piece of wood, or it may seem like just even a dry bone. But when you get it in your thinking, your mind is transformed. That even though, yeah, all this is going on and all this stuff is happening, that frequency is shifting and changing thought processes and things in us, to where when we come out the other side of something, we see, oh, you know, wow, my mind has been transformed.
Yeah.
My thinking has been changed. But if we constantly just ignore that, or look away from it, it's the whole circling around the mountain one more time. Are you going to hear the frequency? Or are you just going to walk around it one more time? Are you going to learn from it? Are you going to see the different aspect that you can see from this? Or are you just going to complain about the fact that you're walking around it one more time? It's seeing things as tools for amplification, and not seeing them as things that hinder, because you can't fence in light. You can't fence in.
Wow. That's powerful.
You can't fence it in.
Yeah. Yeah. I've recently heard it said that, sorry, I'm kind of clogging up over here a little bit. I've recently heard it said that our problems are actually our platforms. And if we can understand that, and I think you just kind of put another angle on that to say that what is it that what are the things in our life that is our amplification moment or amplification opportunity? Our problems are actually our platforms. If we can see that, we actually get to rise above and stand on our platform and be at another level. If we embrace the frequency of light that is emerging through that situation.
Right. And I think it's funny that because you and I both, we're a part of the hardcore scene. We talked about that tonight, the metal and all that. But a big, huge part of the punk rock scene back in the day, there was a band called Bad Brains. I don't know if you remember, the guys from POD did a song with one of the singers. But they, and totally not Christian at all, but they had several albums that would talk about light and talk about, and they were constantly fighting against oppression and fighting against these different things, and they would use this term light. They were kind of had a reggae mentality. They would talk about fighting with the light, being the light, and all these different things. And so this understanding that light brings revelation, that there is explosion, was even a part of the punk scene and these underground scenes, and because people understand that light changes things. When you even using words to enlighten people and to get them out of a misinformed understanding, it brings life and change to them. And so, knowing that stuff work even for outside of, we're talking theology and different things, but just knowing that this thing, it's a divine thing that actually works. And when it's just like anything that's a kingdom brick, when you use a kingdom brick, it's going to change stuff in a community.
Right.
So we, these groups and these different things shining light on situations. Social justice is a huge movement in the millennials and younger. They tie into these things because they see that information or revelation brings change to people. And the church is kind of missing out on that. We're kind of missing out on the fact that we need to kind of quit arguing and just sharing truth, sharing light to bring revelation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Derek, good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in here with us, man. It's an honor. If those of you maybe didn't get a chance yet to drop a comment on where you're watching us from across the country, even if you're watching the playback on this, we'd love to know where you are while you're watching tonight. Pastor Mick Cox has been with us tonight, just doing a bang up job talking to us about the reality of light connecting dots theologically, practically, how we walk this out. How do we see amplification of light that moves through us? How do we see our problems become our platforms? The reality is Mick and I together are a part of those who believe every heart can live fully alive, and hope is the best atmosphere for that to happen. So we've
Yeah.
created a culture of hope where you can thrive to your fullest, and understanding that you are already part of light, not trying to become light, is actually
Right.
already who you are. You can begin to step into living out present reality thinking so that you are displaying your fullest full potential right now, and seeing impact and change, and seeing that frequency that is omitting from you actually become attractive to the goodness that's moving your direction, instead of being repelling or pushing away to the goodness that Father is actually already releasing to you. And so in that, you begin to experience the things materializing around you, or manifesting around you out of the unseen frequencies. It begins to materialize into the visible, seeable, tangible things of life. So we're so thrilled tonight for those of you that jumped in here live, those that are watching the playback, those that are thumbs and hearts and shares and dropping comments and being a part. We're so thrilled to connect with you tonight and be a part of this. Dealin Hope. I'm trust that your heart has been encouraged. Mine's been strengthened in many ways. But tonight, I don't want to just jump off here without Mick saying maybe a final few words, but thank you for your time tonight. Mick, help us just kind of be able to walk away from this video tonight, understanding that we're going to go live light.
Say that one more time, because you kind of cut out a little bit. I'm sorry. The very last. Uh-oh.
Go ahead, man. Trust, I don't know if I'm freezing up or if you're freezing up.
I lost you a little bit. I didn't catch the last little thing you said to do.
I just said help us walk away from this video tonight, knowing that we're going to go live light.
Okay. Yeah. It's just kind of this real simple. And you said it in the last few seconds there. He said in the beginning that he created us in the image of God. If we're created in the image of God, that means we're created in the light, because Jesus is the light. And so it's not so much of striving, it's just being. So just the transformation of your mind going, I'm light today. I'm going to be light today. I'm going to do light today. I'm going to walk light today. So in every action, and I've talked before about what's a simple win. A simple win is talking to somebody and they smile at you. Talking to someone that you haven't talked to in a long time, or seeing somebody at work and a nice dialogue happens. That's a win. It's not a little thing. It's actually a big thing. So start seeing for moments, start praying for moments that you'll actually see it and experience it, not looking for some big Revy or some big big theological moment, or a big supernatural Shundai fallout whatever moment, but an actual simple, hey, that guy that never smiles, he smiled at me today. The person at Walmart, I said hello and they said hello back. Those are little simple wins. Talking to your kid and they actually talk back and you have a good conversation. Those are all the light. So those are wins. So look for them.
Come on. Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks for your input tonight, man. It was awesome. Again, thanks for everyone jumping in. Once you drop a comment about what you really got out of this tonight, what in this talk tonight helped you in some way, we'd love to hear about it. Next Monday night, Dealin Hope again. It'll be me on deck for next Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Jump in here, be a part of that. Check Mick out at the Bearded Hope podcast. I think there's a link to Faith Joy Fellowship, where Mick has links to his messages from Sunday, which are powerful. You can check out what he's been teaching about light there. It's been a great time tonight, guys. Keep at it. We believe in you. It's a culture of hope that's allowing you to thrive in all of who you are. We'll see you next Monday night. Talk to you later. Thanks, Mick.
Yeah, no problem.